the SM Media Podcast Network. Hi folks, welcome to the latest episode of the SM Media East of Scotland football show, your show for all things East of Scotland. I'm Scott McPike. It's always a pleasure to be your host as always. It is our first show of 2025. Before we get into talking about the leagues, I want to thank our new sponsors, App and Sports Clothing, for partnering up with us for the remainder of this season and into next year as we look to embark on better coverage for the league and better content going forward. Okay, so thank you very much to them, and there will be a bit more about them later on in the show. But before we start, it is a pleasure to welcome the first guest of the new year. I'm absolutely thrilled to be welcomed to welcome the Heriot-Watt University head coach Banji Koya. Banji, welcome to the show, mate. It's a pleasure to have you.
Thanks, Scott. Thank you. Happy New Year.
Happy
Thanks
New
very
Year.
much for the invite.
I am really looking forward to talking to you here. As I told you off air, I'm probably more intrigued about your kind of coaching journey in terms of your kind of journey in the game so far, and you're probably the one manager in the east of Scotland who I've heard the most about in terms of in terms of your kind of yourself. We'll get into Heriot-Watt later on and the remarkable job you've done this season, but in terms of your own kind of journey in the game, do you want to tell us a wee bit about how you kind of get into coaching and what your kind of thoughts are about kind of the way Scottish football is going at the moment and your kind of journey through that?
Okay, well, first and foremost, Scott, I think you do a fantastic job. So I
Thank you
wanted
very
to give
much.
you that credit, and thank you for all the exposure you gave the lower leagues. It's really appreciated. Um, my journey as a coach, Scott, it actually started by default. I obviously played for Heriot-Watt, and in 2012, I had a really bad knee injury. And the then manager, Mikey Rennick, I don't know if you know
I've
him,
heard of them, yeah.
yeah, ex-Hibs, he just offered, he said to me, look, just to keep you in the game, do you want to take the fifth team? I'd never coached in my life. And that the journey just started from there. What I really enjoyed, Scott, was working with people. And then from then on, I just sort of developed and, done well with the fifth team. And then the fourth team manager moved off,
Yeah.
and then I moved up. So there was just that gradual progression. And then in 2013, I got the under 20s job. And that really I started to get the bug for actually, the process of training during the week and then trying to win a game on a Friday night. So yeah, that was my journey. And then in 2016, our then manager Ian Little, he got a job at Livingston, and I'd done well with the under 20, so I got moved up.
And all the club process at Heriot-Watt now, obviously, it's a university team. It's not necessarily like what most of the clubs are in the league. Like, it's obviously a different process, as we'll get into during the show, I'd imagine. But that kind of level of the thing I always say about university teams, and obviously you can kind of shoot me down in flames for this, but I always think it's difficult to assess a uni team at the start of the season because you don't know what the player. You don't know what the players are going to be, obviously, because it's not like you can go out and sign a player. It's who's coming in through that time. What is it about that Heriot-Watt have seemed to kind of go against, if you will, because you look at a lot of the players, like they've been there for quite a while. There seems to be a really good environment at the club. Is that something that attracts a lot of players to come there?
Yeah, I mean, it's difficult for me to answer this because I don't want to sound sort of big-headed, but I think to go to your first question, we over the years, when I was at uni, our team didn't form till October when
Yeah,
uni started,
yeah,
but we've been able to change in the last sort of 5, 6 years. And what we've done is we've been able to retain some non-students, and a lot of even the students that used to go home are much more committed. So a lot of guys sometimes look for jobs in Edinburgh, they stay over,
Yeah.
and then yeah, we're able to get them in pre-season and just start that cohort. We don't really get as much players in the trials. I know
Yeah.
people think that, oh, when September comes in, you get players in, but we don't really, because the level of competition we're playing at is very, very high. And for a player to come in September and be able to get into the first team and play straight away is very difficult, unless they've played at a really, really high level.
And like as well, like what other teams don't have in this league is like teams play 30 games a season. Heriot-Watt obviously are part of it, as are kind of Stirling, as are Edinburgh, as are kind of Glasgow in the West. They play a uni league as well, so there's like competitive football a lot. Like is that kind of another thing as well? Try to keep a squad for like not motivated, because I know obviously games come thick and fast, but obviously as well, like it's very very competitive both leagues. How hard is it to maintain a kind of squad balance for both of those?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, our guys, we have a process that we follow, and our guys understand what the process is. So, I'll give you an example. Some guys, on a Wednesday, it's a very difficult league
Mm-hmm.
and very difficult to manage. But we have a load management in place that we have at the uni. So, we train Monday, and then obviously train sometimes on a Tuesday, play Wednesday, and then some guys are able to then train on Thursday, play Saturday. Some guys, if they've played 90 minutes, have to recover. Some might not play. So it's a very difficult one, but it's one that, touch wood, we've been able to keep a balance. We've been able to keep a happy squad. And I think the biggest thing is open communication with the players.
Yeah.
They understand what the process is. And for us, it's very important that we're competitive in both leagues. And I think we have done that the last couple of years. And some guys understand that if they play Wednesday, they might not be able to play on Saturday. They understand that. And yeah, we've been able to keep a good balance.
And it's obviously important in terms of keeping that balance as well. But you mentioned about being competitive in the leagues, and I think one of the things that I've been most impressed with, and kind of hearing things about you and hearing the way Heriot-Watt play, is the style you have. Now, in terms, is that something you've implemented? Is that something that the club have always looked at? Like, what is it about the? Because at any time I speak to somebody about Heriot-Watt, they say the same thing. The brand of football is a breath of fresh air at this level. But how important is that for you as well? Because that's something you don't hear very often at this level.
No, honestly, Scott, thanks for that. And I think I want to explain this to you, and I want to do it in a sort of from a humility point of
Yeah.
view. So we have what I would say a unique style of play, okay? And just to be open and honest, we are not. This is not the gospel. So other teams have their own style of play. Other teams play a certain way. Our way is not better than others. It's
Mm-hmm.
just our way. And yeah, I think that the biggest thing for us is, even when I was with the fifth team, I'll tell you a quick story. Even when I was with the fifth team, I've always really enjoyed um, trying to find space, trying to play
Yeah.
into space, try to arrive at the opposition goal with amount of space as possible. And I found, just being objective over the years, is when you play off from the back, okay, playing off of the back, we don't do it for the sake of
Mm-hmm.
playing off from the back. It's just to create space. If the space is in behind the line of pressure, we'll play there. If it's not, we want our guys, okay, to get on the ball as much as possible, to arrive in space as much as possible. And the biggest thing for us is it's not about winning, okay? And if you look at our results the last couple of years, we've won a lot of things, but we never say to the players, oh, we have to win. We have to win the league, or we have to win a cup. we're very, very much process driven. So, the way we train translates to the games as well. And yeah, our guys are, I've done the under 20s as well for the last sort of 8, 9 years. We want to play. We want to play out from the back. We want to generate numbers in behind the opposition line. And yeah, it's just our way.
And obviously that's led to sitting very high in the league as we'll get into, but it's also led to a couple of players who have been at Heriot-Watt moving on to the SPFL. Now I'd imagine the Falkirk thing, which we'll get into later as well. But Ali Shrive obviously went to Montrose, doing very well there, becoming a mainstay. Barney Stewart's recently made the move to Falkirk as well. I'd imagine there's maybe one or two others that I'm missing, but that's another sign as well that it's a very, very good structure and a very good project that's going on at Heriot-Watt because, like, it's happening at other clubs, but Ali was really the first I can think of that made the big step, and you see how the rewards he's getting. I think Barney will do really well at Falkirk, and how much of a joy is that for you in terms of seeing these players go on, make that move to the higher level, and when you hear them, like I've spoke to them on occasion, and they say they rave about you, saying if it wasn't for you, they wouldn't be able to make that leap.
Yeah, I mean, again, thanks for that. I think I appreciate the players saying that, but I always think as a collective. And I think actually to go back a couple of years, we had Anton Dowds.
Yeah,
And so he came from Heriot-Watt as well. We've had Aidan Quinn. He also plays for Montrose.
I knew there was
And
one I was forgetting. I forgot about
yeah,
Anton.
I think the message, so I'll just use Ali as an example. The message when the guys come in first year and they're good players, our message is always the same. I always say to them that we're preparing them not to win a game on a Saturday, but we're preparing them to develop as good football players and good people.
Mm-hmm.
And if you continue to reinforce those messages for 4 years, and you have a way of playing that we don't deviate from, whether we're winning, losing, or drawing, because again, we're very process driven. And yeah, that's also, I mean, we push the guys a lot, we challenge them. And, I'll give an example. We say to the players, for example, if you play a pass and there's no message on the pass, think about if you go to the SPFL 1 or 2, we're always trying to coach players and making them think about
Yeah,
trying to play a higher level. And we're challenging them about nutrition, sleep, recovery, and also tactically. Again, tactically wise, our guys are very good. Anton is an example. When he left Heriot-Watt, he went on a 6-week trial at East Fife.
mm-hmm.
And I think after 2 weeks, they offered him a contract because they were very, very surprised at his level of tactical understanding and
Yeah.
nuance. So, yeah, as I said, I don't think I'm better than any coach in the east of Scotland, but we have our way, and it's been successful. Like, we measure success by our guys progressing to go and play at a good level.
And like obviously the partnership with Falkirk that was announced in recent weeks, like how did that kind of come about, and how much of an advantage can that present in the future?
I'll be honest with you, the partnership has got nothing to do with the football club.
Yeah,
So that was external, that's a wider
yeah,
university partnership. And I think, the partnership was already in place even before Barney
right,
went to
okay, yeah.
Falkirk. So yeah, I know nothing about that.
And like we have to obviously talk about your journey as well. When you said about the getting to this point. Now I know I'd imagine you're happy at Heriot-Watt, and but I'd imagine that kind of just being impressed already by what you're kind of saying and the way, like the tactical approach is something that I don't think Scottish football has a lot of. And again, it's a breath of fresh air hearing, kind of managing it yourself, talking about it. But is that kind of a journey for you, for yourself? Like, I'd imagine you'd want to like be at a higher level at some point. But how kind of happy are you at the moment?
Um, that's do you know that's a very interesting question. Over the years, I have had offers
Yeah,
to move to a higher level, and people might say that I'm not being ambitious, but I am very ambitious. But I think my core values is always about helping people develop.
Hmm.
Okay. Could I do that in the Lowland League? Could I do that in the Premier? Could I do that in SPFL? Yes, because we're working with people.
Hmm.
But what I love, Scott, is I love the challenge of seeing a young player come in and seeing the development over 4 years. And that's what keeps me at Heriot-Watt. Um, and yes, I'm very ambitious, but the cycle is always renewed. I'll give an example. We lost 8 first team players last season, and we are doing better this year than we've ever done. I thought there was going to be a big transition period, but I think the guys that have come in, because they've already been in the system, although they're younger, they're maybe not as good. The challenge of making them better to play in a tough first division is what I love about coaching.
Yeah, and like when you hear like other clubs, and I imagine over the course of the season, we'll speak to other managers, and they'll say, "Oh, the committee's involved and things like that. The committee call the shots and things like that." How does it work at Heriot-Watt? Like, what is the kind of process and the structure in terms of kind of backroom?
I mean, I'll give you an example. I'm by myself. I
Hmm.
do all the sessions. I don't have an assistant manager. We've got physio. We've got a guy. Everyone in East of Scotland would know him, Alistair Matheson. His son played for us 30 years ago,
Right.
but he's the club secretary.
Hmm.
I mean, without him, the East of Scotland probably wouldn't function as well, the team.
Hmm.
And from a wider sports union point of view, um, so I've obviously got a line manager, but they're not involved in the everyday running
Yeah.
of the team or team selection or anything like that.
And like, oh, I imagine obviously that would be something as well when you were talking about kind of turning down things. Like, I'm not saying that that's the kind of reason that you're doing so well in yourself, but like that level of structure obviously suits you as well. It allows you a bit more kind of freedom and allows you a bit more to get your kind of points and values across, I'd imagine.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. But again, I think I'll give an example. I worked with Hearts Women, and I was assistant
Yeah.
manager there. Obviously, with COVID, it was difficult to manage Hearts Women and Heriot-Watt, so I had to stop that. But I worked with a structure there. I love that as well. And so yeah, I trust enough in my own ability. I trust enough in my own people's skills,
Hmm.
that I can, work under a structure. And I'm not very egotistic either, so I'm open to listening to opinions as long as it's objective. But yeah, honestly, Scott, it's a very, very good question. But I think the biggest thing is I love working with young players, and I love seeing them just grow and develop. That's the key reason for me.
Yeah, and it certainly paid off this season in terms of the kind of results here, where you're sitting second in the table. You said at the start of the season, obviously losing the players that you'd had. I don't think second would have been where you'd have thought you'd be at this point, but we'll kind of go through it kind of gradually. Like opening day beating Camelon, was that a big kind of statement where you felt right? This is as good a start as we could have got here.
I mean, yeah, from a factual point of view, it was good to win 1-0. But Scott, you know more about football. You could beat Camelon and then lose your next 5 games.
Yeah.
It means absolutely nothing. But I think it was interesting because I've got a lot of the guys that came on are really good people. Santa's great, and it was interesting when they turned up first game of the season. They had. I was quite envious of them. They had about 6 or 7 staff. People putting the cones down, and I was by myself having to put the cones down, set up the warm up, then run into the changing room to do the team line, to do the team talk. And I think it gave the younger guys, it was the hardest that we could have. And I think it gave them that inner confidence that, okay, we've been able to beat Camelon, can we continue on the process? So yeah, it was good for the players. For me, I was quite calm about it.
And results after that, obviously, three draws in a row, then end up three wins. Well, it's been one thing. It's been is very consistent. Like we'll get into obviously the kind of league as a whole later on when we discuss the kind of season so far from the league's point of view. But in terms of yourself, like one thing that I've noticed is a lot of goals, like the 8-1 against Preston just before Christmas, and there's goals in this team, and you see that every week. Like when you see the spread of goals, like Nandom scores a lot. Luca Giacomini, I think his name is, good
Yeah,
player.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
there's a lot of good. There's a lot of spread in that squad. There's a good balance in it, but it looks of it as well. Is that something you're really kind of focused on as well?
I'll be again open and honest, Scott. If you look at our goals against,
Yeah.
I would rather we won games 1-0.
Hmm.
And I am, as a coach, I'm very, very big on defensive structure as a team, and not just the defense. I think it's important that we defend from the front. So it's great on paper. It looks like we're scoring goals, but I think we could do well defending as a team, and that's down to us. So I'll give an example. After the first game of the season, um, we played the next, I think it was 7 weeks without any centre halves.
Okay.
But people will know that we had to really, really manage by playing centre mids at the back. So I know teams have issues, but we had a lot of issues, and we were still able to maintain good results. From a goal scoring point of view, um, yeah, I think we've been excellent as a team. We've created a team to suit Barney and Nandam. I've had to change, evolve as well, because I think as a coach, you need to think about the players,
Yeah.
and then that's how you can implement your philosophy and how you want to play. And we don't normally play with two strikers, but then we've got Barney and Nandam, so we had to adapt, and that's created more spaces for other people to play. And yeah, we have scored a lot of goals.
And that was obviously something I was going to bring up. Like the opening day has been the only clean sheet in the league. Now I'd imagine that would be something that is something you really want to kind of put right in the second half of the season. But there's results in there. I mean, the only result obviously was the only defeat so far in the league has been the Camelin game in October, which we'll probably get into more when we discuss Camelin in the show. But the big kind of impressive run I would want to touch on was the 4-1 away victory to Leith on the 19th of October, and then following that up with the wins against Bo'ness and Newton Grange at home. Like, and you look at the table, those two sides are probably in the mix for promotion as well. So how important were those two wins, but setting that off with the victory at Leith after the Camelin loss?
Yeah, I think the Camelon loss was great credit to Camelon. I thought they were outstanding on the day. I thought we played really well. And again, this is not an excuse. Barney pulled off, during the warm up. So I think that kind of had a psychological effect on the guys. Um, we had a couple of boys from our twos playing centre half who don't normally play there. So we were struggling a bit that day, but take nothing away from Camelon. They smelled blood and they were excellent. So credit to them. I think the Leaf game was an interesting one because Leith are a good side
Mm-hmm.
and they had been doing so well. But on the day, I think Leith are a very, again, this is credit to John Robertson. Leith are, they give it their all, okay? And I thought what we spoke about was we knew they were going to come at us very aggressively. And, we spoke about it on Thursday, and it was a case of, there will be spaces, for us to exploit, which we done. And to be fair to them, we were 2-0 up, and I think they got back to 2-1. They were very, very close to getting an equaliser, and they put a lot of intense pressure on us. But then towards the last 15 minutes, a couple of counter-attack goals, but it was a tough game. The Bo'ness game, Bo'ness are an excellent side, and I don't even think I've said this to the players, but we were very, very good on that day. We
Mm-hmm.
were good with the ball, against the ball, and we had to be mentally strong because Bo'ness are an attacking force, and we deserved that victory. The Newton Grange game, tactically, they're the best team we've played all season in Newton Grange. Yeah, I would say that from a collectively point of view, they were very good. But I think Barney and Nandom, and yeah, Barney and Nandom made a difference that day. I know Barney scored a hat trick, but Nandom yeah, he deserves a lot of credit for what he gave us on the day.
And that's kind of point in the season, we know what the weather's been like, but how important was it in December to beat Preston at home, then beat Inverkeith, and with the possibility that the weather was going to turn the way it has, how important was it to kind of end the calendar year in a high? And it must give you confidence going into this kind of next stage of the season when it does become a lot tighter. There's going to be a lot more games. It's going to be a lot more competitive. How important was it to end the year on the high to kind of build for this year?
Again, open honesty, we didn't really talk about ending December on a high, but I think one of the one of the advantages we had was in December we had no Wednesday games, so we were able to train as a team intensively Monday,
Right, okay.
Thursday, and that culminated in a big Preston win. But can I say I thought Preston were very good against us, but they had a man sent off,
Right, okay.
and I think it was 2-1 when they had a man sent off. But credit to Stevie McLeish, he's like a mentor to me. I've known him for years. They still went very attacking, and I think I've touched about this a few times. We just exploited space, and it was an 8-1 victory. But the good thing, again, this is credit to Preston. They never give up.
Yeah.
They were still, defending. They were still working hard, and yeah, on the day we got the goals, and it was a good win. The Inverkeithing game, very surprising. I'm very surprised Inverkeithing are sitting where they're sitting because they're an excellent side. But that was an emotional game, Scott, because it was Barney's last game.
Hmm.
It was also one of the best players we've had in over a decade at the club, Justin Hogg. He's been there for 9 years. He's the longest serving player. And that was quite an emotional game. And that's the first time that I've said to the boys, okay, forget about the process. Let's win for the guys. And
Yeah.
we were 3-0 up. We played really well. Vakidin came back 3-2. And then, yeah, it was good to get those wins.
This section of the podcast is sponsored by Appen Sports. Appen Sports are experts in creating bespoke, unique, and high quality custom kits and training wear for your football team. The free online kit designer, ready with over 70 fully customisable templates, is here to help you create a brand new and distinctive look for your team. Your order also means that Appen Sports will reserve a place for your team in their club shop, making reordering your teamwear easy and giving your supporters somewhere to get their hands on your amazing gear. To check out everything Appen Sports has to offer, visit their website appensports.com now and get started on transforming your football club's look. Make your custom football kits easy with Appen Sports. Make it happen.
Definitely.
Really good. And let's kind of move on to the kind of four leagues in the east of Scotland. We're obviously kind of, I would say, the halfway stage. Whenever it gets to the start of January, it's
Yeah.
time to kind of assess the first half of the season. Looking at the Premier Division, Musselburgh have an 8 point lead at the top. They obviously are very busy this weekend, as we'll get into. But you look at Halabeed and Jeanfield, they've got the games in hand and they can certainly try and catch them. Look, it's shaping up if those three, if Halabeed and Jeanfield win their 3 games, it could be a fascinating end to the season. Do you think it is kind of between those three at the moment?
Yeah, absolutely. I think first and foremost, Robbie Rayside, Halo Beef manager, good friend of mine. He was at St Andrews. He has done exceptionally well, and I think it's going to be a. I think they could catch Musselburgh, but I have a gut feeling that when you look at Musselburgh, when you look at the recruitment, when you look at the depth of the squads and the quality they've got, I think when the games are played 3 times a week, I think Musselburgh might just
Okay.
pull ahead.
Okay.
Um, but never underestimate Robbie Ray's side and his motivational skills as well.
And obviously Musselburgh this weekend, Hamilton in the Scottish Cup, like that this is the sort of thing that the pyramid system was made for, these opportunities. And how big an occasion is that for the club and players, staff? Like that's a massive opportunity for them to just go and kind of give it a go.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think irrespective of the results, I think Musselburgh would give a good account of themselves, and I think it'll be a great exposure for East of Scotland football. And I mean, yeah, they have nothing to lose. Liam Burns is an excellent coach. I think he will have them well organised, and I think Hamilton might come in for a shock as well.
Yeah, it could be interesting. I but kind of below the kind of top three at the moment, there's a couple of sides here. Obviously, you've come across last year, the likes of Whitburn, Dunny Pace. The side that have actually really impressed me so far have been Haddington Athletic. I've been really impressed with how they've done so far.
Yeah, I mean, there's no surprising about Haddington. Scott Bonner, again, another one that's an advocate for good football.
Mm-hmm.
Another one that's an advocate for young players. I don't know if you see their recruitment. They sign young
They
lads,
do
and
well, yeah.
yeah. So yeah, no, honestly, it's a very fascinating league. You touch on Whitburn, Darren Wilson again, another good friend. They done well last year in the league, and yeah, I think they'll be up there. They'll be, he's just recruited Ethan Kerr from Cowdenbeath, who
Yeah.
was also my ex-captain. Um, yeah, I think it's a very, very challenging league, and yeah, I think it's going to be an exciting finish.
And like in terms of other sides that have kind of impressed you in that league as well, like Socky are probably in a false position based on their kind of situation with their points deduction. Like sides like Dunbar are maybe just below where they probably want to be at this point. But that's a very, very competitive league. Like Tynecastle, St Andrews, Luncarty. I think a lot of these sides are probably got potential to maybe improve in the second half of the season. Is there any you would say you could see kind of finishing better this year?
Yeah, I think so. I'll give an example. I think Dunbar, obviously, they've just lost Kevin Haynes
Yeah.
to Berwick.
Were
But
you
if you look
surprised
at
at that?
Dunbar, huh?
Were you surprised at that?
Um, okay, I know Big Hainsey well, and I think to give him all credit, I think he wouldn't have left Dunbar for any team,
Yeah.
but he's got that emotional attachment to
Yeah.
Berwick, and you know, so yeah, but he's done a great job at Dunbar,
He has.
yeah, again, I mentioned Tynecastle. I know they're sitting, quite low just now, but they've got a very good manager, and I think they'll push on come second half of the season.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll move into the first division. We obviously mentioned Camelin, obviously the only team that have beaten Heriot-Watt in the league. They are obviously sitting 8 points clear of you at the top, and Allen I think's done really well. It threatened at the end of last season to be quite a difficult atmosphere at that club, but they've really started this season well, and they look pretty rock solid to be in the first three.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think Alan, Scott Woodhouse, I came on. I think the recruitment, it's interesting. We've spoken about recruitment. Like obviously at Heriot-Watt, we can recruit, but if you had to look at recruitment at the lower level, and people might say, well, they've got money, that's subjective opinions. You can have money and not recruit well.
Yeah,
But if you look at the recruitment strategy of Camelon, they've recruited, but what they've then done is with that recruitment, they've developed, you talk about style of play at Heriot-Watt. I've been really impressed with how Camelon have played. And they're winning, but they're also playing well. And unless there's a bad blip, I see them winning the league.
okay,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
I think they're looking pretty good, but it's shaping up to be quite kind of tight. And obviously, in that kind of promotion front, we've obviously mentioned Bowness and Newton Grange, who you've been impressed with. Crossgates are obviously a side looking to really kind of get back to the Premier Division. Like I don't have you played them this season?
Yeah, again,
Yeah,
I think I touched on Newton Grange that they were the best tactically, and Crossgate are the best team that we've played from an individual point of view.
okay,
We drew 1-1 at Oriam.
right, okay,
They were very dynamic. And yeah, they're a good side, very good side.
Hmm. And like it's quite tight in that league as well. Like, in terms of kind of looking at kind of sixth to 11th, there's only 5 points separating the likes of Thornton, Whitehill, Edinburgh South, Blackburn. We've mentioned Leith, Kirkcaldy, and Dysart. Like out of those kind of six, like who's kind of impressed you so far?
Um, Whitehill, for my so Jack Lynch again, another manager I know well. Played with him at Whitehill actually over. He has he's got good motivational skills, very well organized, and they never give up.
Hmm.
We've not played Blackburn yet. Thornton Hibs, I mean, he does a fantastic job. Um, he's got a group, they're very cohesive, and they're the kind of team that could go and beat Camelon. They're the kind of team that could go and beat Newton Grange. And honestly, it's such a difficult league. There's no teams in that league that we turn up or any team turns up and think, oh, this is going to be an
Yeah,
easy day. Um, give a shout to Edinburgh South, Ainsley
big
Hunter
result
for
for them at the
doing
weekend.
good.
Yeah, 1-0 at
Yeah,
Inverkeithing. Yeah,
yeah, he's doing great.
yeah, no,
So yeah,
absolutely.
top league.
Yeah, and there's sides as well that kind of 12th to 16th. That it's pretty tight. Armliston, I think, are a side that can push on in the second half after Preston. Canoe are maybe looking to move up with a new manager. Lacor and Inverkeithing as well will be just looking to improve. Like you say, there's no easy game in that league.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like you take Lacor, for example, we've played twice and we've drawn with them. Well organized team, and again, I'm just being open and honest. There's literally not a team in that league that you think this is going to be an easy game. It's a difficult league, but it's exciting, which that's what you want.
Absolutely. Moving into the second division, Banji, I'm not usually one for early predictions, but I think Armadale are looking pretty good to win that league and get promotion.
Yeah, I echo. I mean, yeah, it's difficult to say, but I echo exactly what you've said there. I can't see them. I can't see them giving it away just now. They're flying. We played them towards the end of last season in
Mhm.
the cup.
Yeah,
Um, they were excellent. Obviously we dominated the sort of first half, but credit to Coco, I think they changed it up a bit second half, and yeah, it was a very good game. So they will be a good addition to the first division.
yeah, absolutely. I think they're a side that's pretty good. They've got a big game as well this weekend. They play Troon in the Junior Cup, and for any Armadale fans that maybe want to hear a bit about Troon, we spoke to Troon's manager Jimmy Kirkwood on the 80, the West of Scotland show, so check that out. Below Armadale, it's looking again pretty tight for promotion. East Houses, West Calder, Kennaway, Bathgate, and Coldstream. Bathgate obviously have got some games in hand, but those are five sides that are more than capable of challenging and maybe and going for promotion next season.
Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely. Again, I follow most of the teams. David McQueen, he's been there for God knows how long. Again, you look at how they've recruited. They've recruited a lot of good, experienced players. They've signed Chris Robertson. Don't know if
Hmm.
you know about him.
Yeah,
Um, so he's a striker that personally should be playing in the Premier Division. So I think he's going to give them a push. Neil Janzek, ex Hearts, and but then I think I have to give a notable mention to Gordon Wilson at
hmm,
Bathgate. He's obviously is an ex Heriot-Watt player. Also played for me when I was manager. Well, obviously manager Heriot-Watt at the start. He's done a great job at Bathgate. So I think Armadale, I think East Houses will go up, and I think it'll be either West Calder or Bathgate. That'll be my
okay.
predictions.
Okay, and there's again sides that are impressing. Oakley have done really well since. Like, I think they've probably been the side I would take the most from that league in terms of the way they've performed so far. Stirling Uni again, reserves have done well. Burnt Island are doing well. You've got the likes of Dalkeith and Tweedmouth who'll maybe look to be higher up the league. Like any kind of sides in that league you feel are maybe kind of doing well at the moment.
Oh, sorry, I should have mentioned Oakley. Goldie's team are a very, very good side, and they've already beaten us in the cup this
Yeah,
season. So yeah, I think they actually, I would say they will be in with a very good chance of going up.
yeah.
Dalkeith again, good side. Sometimes I'm very surprised at some of the results. because the games I look at, I think, oh, Dalkeith should maybe win that. But again, you just never know what's going on, whether there's injuries, players missing. Um, yeah, there's a lot of good teams. Honestly, the east of Scotland is a hub of good teams that can beat anyone on any given day.
Into the third division, Lochgelly are obviously looking pretty good as well. They're 10 points clear. Linton and Hoyk are in second and third. And then you've got likes of Fauldhouse, Stonyburn, Livingston United are all kind of pushing as well. Like that's again another kind of good lead, but Lochgelly look pretty good at the top of it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm delighted for everyone at Logelli, Paul and his team. And we played them. I think we were in the same league 2 or 3 years
Mm-hmm.
ago. And I don't know if you've been to Logelli, but they have the best hospitable people that I've come across in East of Scotland. And yeah, I think it'll be great credit for them because I think they're quite a big club. So I'll be delighted if they won the league or got promotion for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
And yeah, Hoyk Royal Albert, Kenny Hitchison, very, very good coach.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very good coach. And yeah, they're doing well.
Absolutely. Let's move into this weekend now. I'm hoping that we've got some games to talk about next week. I'd imagine we only had one game in East of Scotland last weekend in terms of the league, and I think there was only there was one before that as well. So the weather's kind of destroying us a wee bit, but it looks pretty good. I'm not. People are gonna say I'm being psychic here. I think we will get games, a lot more games this weekend. Heriot-Watt travel to Blackburn. It's going to be quite a big game. How good is it just to get football back, and how important is it to start the new year in a high?
Yeah, no, absolutely. We're all excited. Obviously, we've not played in the last 2 weeks for the weather. Yeah, I mean, we've played Blackburn, a few times. I know what to expect away there. I think they've got a new manager. I'm sure he's involved with Scotland's setup. I can't, I
I
can't
think you're
guarantee
right.
that, but
I think you're right.
what I do know is they're a very, very well organized team, and yeah, I think it's going to be a tough game, but we will prepare as best as we can, and hopefully we get the outcome that we want. But yeah, that we're going there to try and win the game. So yeah, we'll be well prepared.
And I know you obviously not want me to use the P word, but I'm going to. The rest of the season, the quest for promotion. Like I know it's one game at a time, I understand that, but like if you were able to be in a position to go up to the Premier Division, like would that how where would that rank in terms of your own kind of personal highlights if you were able to do that?
Oh, honestly, this I've got to give open, honest answers. Okay, we're in January.
Yeah,
No one wins leagues in January, or maybe unless you're Armadale. Um, yeah, honestly, we've not spoke about promotion at all.
okay,
We want to take each game at a time. Come April, if we're sitting in the top three, then we can start to reframe the
hmm
language we use with the guys.
yeah,
And as um, if you've got 3 or 4 games to go and you can finish second, third, yes, you reframe the language and we go for that. But I think until then, it's process driven.
absolutely. But Banji, I've thoroughly enjoyed talking to you tonight. I really appreciate it, and keep doing what you're doing. And it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you very much.
No, no, thank you, Scott. Really appreciate it. And yeah, hope we get games at the weekends.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, everyone that's tuned in. Thanks to our sponsors, App and Sports Clothing, for partnering up with us for the new show. I really appreciate it. And as always, if you like our East of Scotland stuff, follow us on YouTube and our podcast channels, and follow us on social media as well. Thank you very much.